Hello, everybody. This is Love from Above by your Sibling Spirit Guides. I'm Maureen, and this is my brother.
Hey, Maureen. Hey, everyone. This is Brian.
Hello, Brian. We're so happy to be here. If you can believe it, on this podcast, we share daily channelings we receive from star beings, ascended masters, mythical beings who really exist, and occasionally our ancestors. And today's topic, I'll tell you, Brian, this is one that I think stops a lot of people is I know there's a lot of podcasts, there's a lot of books, there's a lot of discussion about like what is my purpose in life, what is the purpose in life. So yeah, this is a podcast putting together some channelings looking at just that. What do you think about that, brother?
Well, it's a juicy one, like we said. I like it. I mean, who doesn't want to get some direction on the purpose of life? So I'm all for it. So yeah, let me just jump into it. So the first session was from July 31st of 2024. Your purpose is to grow and expand in the light. Dearest one, we come forth now. We are the light of the Creator. The purpose of human life is to grow and expand in the light. Most people are unaware of the natural resources which they hold within. They look outside for satisfaction, whether that be with a job, a mate, or travel. These are diluted, joyful experiences compared to the reunification with the one Creator. We want you to imagine that your beings held a dimmer switch. You carry the light. The light can be never sullied, darkened, or disengaged from the physical frame. Even with that, the light stays within the embodiment of your soul. Nothing can separate the light of the Creator placed within inside you. If you imagine this dimmer switch, you are in control. You can notice the thoughts, the experience, and the words which bring joy. When a lover says, I love you, when you receive a hug from a friend or a dear one, when you open an email with encouraging words from a boss or a client, these are the moments which magnify the light within you. You can become aware of this dimmer switch, you can control your life. We recede now. However, we wish for you to reflect upon this light as you go through your days. This is an important part of the journey. So, wow, I love the analogy of the dimmer switch. What comes to mind for you, Maureen?
Well, first of all, I love how, they talk about, the satisfaction in life is not from a job or mate or travel. And I know we know that, but sometimes you get so excited about something and, that you find a new love, you get a new job, you move across the country and you're like, my life's going to be so much better. This is going to solve everything. But really, the only the only true joy comes from growing the light within. And yeah, and I love the idea that, and again, we know this, but it's just so beautiful the way they frame this is that nothing can diminish your light, not even death. Death does not diminish. You still go on. So, yeah, what are the messages here that really resonate with you?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's just, like they mentioned, like the simple moments in your life that of connection. It's really, it's a way to powerfully have the light magnified, and that just becoming more aware of that. And so, obviously you control that. So that's the thing. It puts things in perspective, really, so that you focus on things like that and not the minutia or little things that might be worrying you from day to day. Then focus on, you know, the type of things that magnify the light. And that's a great message for all of us, I believe.
Yeah, so I'll continue on with the next one, which this is another big concept that I think, at least I need a reminder of. And this is from March 31st of 2025. Do your actions align with your purpose? And you know what, Brian, I just have to interject. Someone who's a big inspiration with me, this might surprise you, not a spiritual teacher. Last year I read Arnold Schwarzenegger's biography, and he was so amazing. Like when he was a struggling actor, people thought he was crazy for being a bodybuilder and trying to go into acting when he couldn't speak English without an accent and he was just this big giant of a man. And he got a job offer to work in bodybuilding for $200,000 a year, like in 1970, which was like a huge amount of money. But he didn't take it because that didn't align with his purpose. And he, his purpose was to be Hollywood movie star.
And like the top Hollywood movies, sorry, yeah, that's what
Right.
he always believed that. I don't, I went in this book and like I just, I'm like had low expectations. I'm like, I don't know. I'm not like a huge Schwarzenegger guy. I'm like that. But I came away like super impressed by him. And yeah, that's just one aspect, but it was a really good book. Yeah, I'll put it in the show notes, a link to it because it was a really good book that, you know, it does exactly what you said. He was so key on what his purpose was and really stuck to it until he was successful. And then he switched and became a politician, and how he, you know, approached that was really, I thought, really interesting. So yeah, it's a really good book.
And it was the same pattern, but that really inspired me because he didn't have any money and he grew up so poor. And, nine people out of 10 would have been like, take the job for $200,000. But right now, he would be a body trainer in Europe. You know what I mean? As
Yeah.
opposed to, yeah. So, anyway, I just found it a huge inspiration. So, I'll go on with this. It says, Dearest one, the time of the harvest draws near. We wait in the folds to capture those who wish to rise with us. This time can appear to be frightening as the tumultuous shifting sands cause many upheavals. Know that these are beneficial as a loosening must begin. We provide an analogy. The loosening is similar to a child's wiggly tooth. You've been accustomed to that friction back and forth, but now the tooth must be yanked free. The pain will be brief, but this is necessary for the new growth to happen, for the adult tooth to erupt, and for you yourself that you may break free from the bonds that hold you. We provide another analogy. Say you're on a childhood swing, you're swinging back and forth, enjoying the sensation. However, at some point, you must descend. The most fun is flying high and jumping off. That is the situation occurring now on Earth. You fly high so that you may make the leap required. In this way, all journeys are individual, yet they are shared. Does one bird fly south for the winter? No. Individually, they make the journey. They cannot fly south without individually flapping their wings, yet they are part of a greater movement that moves in the same direction. The same is true now. You must flap your wings to do the work to free the bonds that tether you. However, know that you are not alone, that everyone works in the same accord, the great splitting, the great harvest, call it what you may. It is the searing division that causes eruptions on this beloved planet. So I want to pause there because they're going to switch topics, but those are two beautiful analogies. I love the wiggly tooth. You're used to the friction. You're used to it, you know, causing you pain and discomfort and eating on the other side of the mouth, but that's not the way it's supposed to be. And it's just one moment of pain, and you're going to be free to have something better erupt into your life. What do you think, brother?
Yeah, I think it's really, really interesting. I love the breaking free from old tethers opens up new possibilities. And I love the analogies of the tooth and the flap your own wings. So yeah, really great messages that they shared on in this channeling.
So I'll go on with the main part of the message was about, aligning with your purpose. So they go on to say, we wish to address one more subject before retiring. This is the fruitfulness of possibility. When you break free from your tethers, all roads lie ahead of you. Choose wisely. Once you swagger down the path that brings you the most joy, to take a different direction requires backtracking or coming to a crossroads. There's always a choice. Think, really evaluate if this is what aligns with your central purpose of your soul. If so, march confidently forward. You may ask for guidance. So, yeah, Brian, I mean, that's really, you think about that, you really have to choose carefully because once you go down the path, it's not easy to backtrack and go back. And maybe that's why that crossroads, that traumatic event, that obstacle that you think it's really helped to put you back on the path that you should have been on the first place.
Yeah, that's sort of interesting. I mean, I never really thought it like that, but the key is making sure it aligns with your central purpose of your soul, which, I mean, how many of us are really in tune with what that is? I don't know. I mean, I think I've come a long way, but you know, it's not what everyone's probably focused on their daily life or on their, jobs and stuff. For me, it's, more about my family and things like that. That's more I view as my sort of central purpose and my focus is my family. But yeah, it's a good message to share with everyone.
But Brian, I'm going to tell you, your focus on your family is an expanding of the light of within because that's love. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's love. And so that's a perfect example of it. And maybe it is your job. Maybe it's the love and the passion. You think about all these people who, Tesla was another book that I read last year. Now, I understand he's a very controversial figure, but you can't deny what the man has created in this planet. You know what I mean? You can't, our lives are all different because of it. So,
Elon Musk. I mean, yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah, sorry, but I thank you for understanding me, brother. I really appreciate it for reading my mind. But yeah, so that is really central. What aligns with your purpose, and my purpose, as I view it, is one of my prayers every day is I am a clear channel between heaven and earth, and whether that's in my daily interactions with people, those that I love or those that I meet while I travel, or whether it's channeling for this podcast or for a book or whatever. So that's what I view as my central purpose. But to know that is a huge gift. So many people like are just really even and I understand that struggle, trying to figure out what is it that what are the is it they're supposed to do? What are they supposed to, you know, what is their purpose in their life in this life?
Yeah. But you're right. I mean, this whole project and the podcast and the book and stuff has also obviously given me a big purpose in life as well. So I'm thankful for that as well.
Well, talk about being thankful. They end their message. This is interesting, people. Little caveat. They said, we notice you do not stop to pray in churches like you used to. So a reminder to our listeners, I travel the world continually as a nomad, and I love to visit sacred sites, whether it's a church or a mosque or whatever religious site it is, an ancient temple that's in ruins. Remember, these buildings absorb the prayers of hundreds, thousands, possibly millions of souls. The resonant energy there provides a great access point, though, that although not necessary, is powerful to utilize. We provide an analogy. Say your favorite band comes to town. You could listen to them on your listening devices as you do every day, or you could go see them in person, which provides a richer interaction. In this way, we encourage you to resume your practice of communicating in spaces where those before you have communicated for centuries or longer. Isn't that fascinating, brother?
Yeah, it totally is. Because, as You know, I'm sort of clairsentient. So when I'm in a church, I can feel the energy. Like they said, there's hundreds, thousands, and possibly millions of souls. And, you know, certain churches more than others, but I definitely feel the energy. And that's one reason, and just to be honest, I'm not a huge churchgoer, but we do go fairly, I mean, occasionally and to a church nearby. And I do really enjoy that. And then also, like you said, when traveling, going to different churches. So it is interesting how they absorb the prayers, and I can feel the energy of, I don't know if it's the prayers or if the beings that are in the church, but I'm not exactly sure what I'm feeling, but I'm feeling energy when I'm in a church. So that's something I can definitely agree and I can relate to.
Yeah, and I've gone back to the practice of visiting, and not only visiting but doing a prayer or meditation in these spaces. And my favorite spaces are spaces where it's active. So like I think about when I used to spend a lot of time in Ireland. When I would go into town, like the church was unlocked. All the churches in the United States are locked, and it was unlocked. And I would go in there and pray and meditate. And I don't care what time of day or night it was. Like there were people coming in, there was a lot of activity. And my favorite example of that is at Our Lady of Guadalupe in Mexico City. It's a major pilgrimage site. And the last time I went there, I went like on a Wednesday at like 11 o'clock. I wanted to go like at a kind of an off time because it's so busy. They have masses on the hour. The church holds 7,000 people and it's standing room only for each service.
Yeah, I know. I've been to places like that in Mexico or, in the Spanish.
Hour
Yeah.
every day. It's crazy.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, but again, you can, you're more clairsentient than I am, but you can't help but be in an environment like that and just feel it. Like it's tingling with energy, with good, good energy. So, yeah, I'm thankful for that reminder.
Yeah. So I'll go on to the next one. So this is from July 28th to 2024. The purpose of life is to expand the capacity to love. Dearest one, we are always present and pleased to communicate in this fashion. We are the Great White Brotherhood assembled in the mountains of the United States. We come forth now. We speak through this vessel, which is cleared of matter. The purpose of life is to expand the capacity to love. If one were to look at the ability to love as a child, generally you love what feels good. You love ice cream, but you hate broccoli. Humans consider children to be the ultimate in that their souls are pure. While this is true, they're also beginning their life's journey. In this respect, there's much for them to grow in wonder and love, and many obstacles for them to surmount. Toward the middle or the end of one's personage's life, one can see the cyclical opportunities that have presented themselves for opportunities to expand the soul's ability to retain and capture the light of the one creator. This is what love is. The feeling that humans attribute to love is what we would term affection. True love is a deeper well of feelings, of passionate emotion that can sustain the energy of a soul for many lifetimes. We wish to communicate the true nature of love in this world, to glance upon everything that surrounds you and realize that this is but a figment of your own imagination. It's like each human being is a script writer for a popular soap opera. They want the tension, the conflict, the obstacles. The withdrawing of affection, funds, or opportunities. This ignites a passion within the human that has become a craving similar to a smoker's desire for nicotine. We work to replace these cravings with the pure energetic flow of the love and the light of the one creator. In this way, we benefit all who seek counsel at the feet of our creator. Wow. I don't know. There's so many different things I like in this one. What comes to mind for you, Maureen?
I just think it's such a simple message, it's your purpose in life is to expand the capacity of love. And, that's what we were just talking about earlier, whether you do that for your family or whether we do it from this work that we do with the podcast and our books, that's it. Yeah. And yeah, it's sometimes the simplest messages can be the most powerful. What really resonates with you, brother?
Well, I like, you know, they're really calling out that what humans typically call love is better defined as affection, and that true love is deeper. And they said that it's the soul's energy, it can sustain the soul's energy across many lifetimes. So anyway, I just think that it's not like, and then of course talking about the soap opera and the drama and things like that, but that's what really resonated with me. So, um,
Uh, and you know what? That's been such a gift of this work that we're doing is there's so many times people when I'm channeling and I'll just start to cry because I'm not only bringing in the words, but I can feel the overwhelming sensations of this really deep wellspring of love. And it's really transformed me. And I think I can't articulate this to people when I'm traveling the world, like you're traveling the world by yourself, and especially I'm in places where you don't see, female travelers traveling alone. But it's like, no, I'm not. And then I can really feel this presence and it's made my life richer and I'm super grateful.
well, like they said, I mean, none of us are ever alone, right? We're always
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
you're never
Yeah.
alone. So yeah.
So I'm going to close with something I am still working on, but I have changed in my life. And this was from May 6th, 2025. And this is walking with purpose. So they said, "Oh, hallowed sister, oh, how you rush through your important days. Calm thyself. Thy centrifugal balances misalign with tarried activity. We have rectified and solidified to solve this particular quandary. Rush not, for then the same problem shall occur. Remember that what moves slowly with purpose accomplishes more than the harried activity of a frenzied pace. Breathe in, breathe out. The breath is the measure of your calmness, of your activities. Unfortunately, the harried, busied, occupied life in your ever present culture is highly valued. The one who moves slowly and carefully may be seen as slothful. However, if you imagine the great ones you admire, their steps were always purposeful. Isn't that the truth, brother? Isn't that the truth? Can
You
you
know,
imagine like Saint Germain like rushing through the airport and no, no, they would be walking with purpose.
yeah, it's interesting because it's so against our society. And well, part of it too. So I know I just read this book on health, and it was like really pushing that, it's so important to move throughout the day, and that, you got to get your 10,000 steps. And now I have a standing desk, and now I got one of those. It's like a little treadmill, but like where I'm sometimes in just a meeting where I'm just listening, I'm on this treadmill to try and make sure I get my steps in, but it goes against everything they just said. Because I'm I'm I don't know. It's I'm trying to get my steps in for health, but they're saying, you know, s- exactly, move slowly and carefully. and that's not what I'm doing. So it's I don't know. It's how do you deal with those contradictions? I guess that's it's hard to.
Well, I think, and one time I got a dream message, which my son, thank you very much, Noah, reminded me of recently. This was years ago. I got a dream message and it said, walk like a rare bird is in front of you. So if a rare bird is in front of you and you want to take in that bird, you're not going to be rushing. And my recent example, I want to tell you, Brian, is like 2 weeks ago, I was in Bangkok's main airport and I just walked in the airport and I just started to rush and I stopped myself because I'm like, what am I doing? But there's just this frenzied pace in the airport, and I just started, everybody else is rushing. So I was like, no, 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 no. They've told me not to rush. I'm not rushing. And this is so beautiful how everything all works out. That airport in at BKK in Bangkok was just crazy when I flew in because it was January and a lot of Europeans are down in Thailand for the warm weather. And so I looked and people for Thai Air Asia for $25 you could pay for the red carpet treatment. And there were huge lines, huge snaking through the airport to check in. And I went up to a gate agent and I said, I paid for this red carpet. Brian, the agent walked me personally over to this one gate. No one was standing in front of it, and they literally had a red carpet.
Oh my gosh, that's great.
So, I walk into the airport, I feel this frenzy, and I'm like, no, 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 I'm not going to rush. I'm not. And guess what? It all worked out because I paid $25. Yeah. And then for that $25, I got the lounge. So I got all the, food and, drinks, bottles of water I wanted. It's 100% worth it. But yeah, just a message that it just all works out. And yeah, I mean, I just can't. I admire some of the Ascended Masters, some of the Ascended Masters that we've channeled, and yeah, they would not be rushing, they would be walking with purpose.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The frenzied pace. I mean, that's totally everyone. And but you're right. In the airport, I see that the same thing as me. I walk like so much faster than I do. So, even if I'm just going, I don't know, to the baggage claim, and I don't know why I do that, but yeah, so I'm gonna stop doing that.
Yeah. And here's another story of how it worked out. Just recently, I flew into I'm in Vietnam now, and I had 45 minutes to pick up the hotel shuttle, go through immigration and customs. And I was like, I don't think I'll make that. If I don't make it, I'll just take a taxi. And then I didn't rush when I got off the airport, and the line for immigration was 30 to 40 people deep, and it wasn't moving at all. And I was like, oh, but again, I didn't panic. I just got out my book and start reading. Well, I was redirected to the line for diplomats and crew that was empty. And I went through immigration, I went through customs, I got my bag, and I met the shuttle driver in 45 minutes.
Wow.
So again, I tell you, like it all works out. Like I saw that line and that line was not moving at all. And I was like, oh gosh, this is gonna, but again, not worried about it, reading my book. And yeah, I got through in 45 minutes, was on the hotel shuttle. Who knew?
Yeah, yeah. It's the right perspective on things, It's just not like I always said, things always work out when you have the right, mindset and things like that. So that's something that I totally agree with.
Yeah. So we'll end this podcast and tell you about the next one, which is on the importance of sleep. And boy, Brian, we all know if you don't get a good night's sleep, that definitely affects your day. It affects your health. We both studied a lot about this. So we hope you enjoyed this one. Brian, any final messages about this podcast or about our upcoming sleep podcast?
Is this is as we talk about our our dad as he would have said, this was a doozy. So thanks for putting this one together. and glad to share it with all of you. And we'll talk to you next time.
Okay, thank you.